Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our podcast, Web3 and Chill. I'm Ayush, joined by my co host Vishal. And today we have with us a serial entrepreneur and an investor, Avinash. Hi, Avinash. Thank you for joining us this.
Hey, Vishal. Hey, Ayush. Nice to be on the show. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah. So, what's going on? How was your day?
Cool. It's the day is still young. It's evening here in India. I'm currently in India, Bangalore, and it's still young. We've just been on and off multiple calls. In between, now I have to head out for a walk. I love walking late night. So yeah, so it's still lots to do, and you know midday for me.
Quite a hustler. In the night, you're saying midday for you. Oh, wow. I suddenly had a FOMO. In your entire busy day, I hope this conversation legit acts as a chilling part. So
Hmm.
let's move forward. So, why Fandom Future? What is it?
Basically, the future is all about communities coming together and doing things. Yeah, as humankind, we've always lived together socially. Though we were nomads and we had individual conquests, we have come to realize that community living is the way forward, and living in harmony and executing things together without any chaos and dispute uh, is always a challenge. Has always been a challenge, right? And that's why you have all these disputes and wars and bone of contentions. But thanks to Web3, it's kind of put certain things in place. What constitutions and governance did for countries, nations, what legal agreements do for cooperatives, where people are coming together with not much of a hierarchy. Everybody is democratically involved. It's always a challenge. So, going forward, uh, the fabric of Web3 is going to be community driven, meaning businesses also will adopt. So we have so much of talk about direct to customer and the D2C and all that, right? So it was retail, and then you're focusing, going directly to customers and engaging with them. Incidentally, I was running a D2C accelerator prior to this, incubated
Yeah,
a
I
bunch
saw a
of.
lot of good and successful DTC brand from that accelerator. Like a lot of brand that I have personally used. Then I saw that okay, you
Yeah.
were involved in that.
Yeah, so great founders, great companies from likes of Wow Skin Science to M Caffeine, Pro Nature, Habanero, Smoothies, Go Desi. Many guys who always, they've taken a route to go direct to customer, at the same time position themselves with a niche offering to a particular community, right? So, drawing lines from those experiences, I wanted to build something more as a way forward for that lead, which is a D2C lead. And I realized D2C is not direct to customer, but D2C is direct to community,
Okay.
right? And your direct to customer means you're just getting rid of a third party or a medium or a retailer or an intermediary, and you're going direct to customer. But direct to community means you are identifying a niche requirement or a need or a passion of a community and then addressing that need. So, what these brands are building, new age brands are building, is specifically direct to community, right? Or rather, communities. And the fabric of Web3 is taking that, giving that infrastructure for companies and businesses and even communities to operate in a very decentralized manner, powering people and participation without any dispute and governance to it. Because when two people meet, there is always, there's always dispute, right? So to bring a structure to chaos, we've been fortunate that technologies have evolved, and that's the whole thought process behind building Fandom Future. So we are a direct to community platform, and we are building direct to community products. So one of the flagship products we have is addressing the fandom space, which is the fans are also a community where um, you have a particular sports club or a celebrity as a common interest, right, across.
Yeah.
So, and it's not transactional relationship, it's more emotional connect. So we are addressing that space. But then a community, a Google definition of a community is a group of people who have a common passion, interest, mission, and so on, right? So then there are communities who are very passionate about going green or no plastic, or community for pets, right? So addressing all these communities, there is no fan engagement in a in a going green or a ocean positivity group. It's just a sheer passion and interest that they want to do something, and it is more mission driven. They are more activists, they are more
Yeah.
mission driven. So groups will are going to come together, as we move forward, the thanks to the tech developments and that are evolving. Groups are coming together, and on a common mission, and technology is enabling that in a very seamless manner. So the other product that we are building is Lobby, which is all about getting people together on a common mission and executing things. It's not just about discussing or sharing content, because we've done that through various social media platforms and messengers and so on. But now it's all about taking that further and getting into action. That means a bunch of people coming together and working on coral reef restoration, right? And forming a group as an organized structure, maybe a decentralized organization of sorts, and having membership and people participating, having voting power across, and so on. So that is what Lobby is all about, to empower people to come together and work on a mission.
I have
Great. So I want to pick up one point. Like you mentioned, conflicts arise in community, and it's very evident. Like Ayush and I were fighting about regarding wearing the same T-shirt today to the podcast, because I said, Ayush, there is no point, right? Because you can't see the full T-shirt in the camera view. It's a cool Breaking Bad T-shirt, and why should we wear? So on that, uh, what do you feel like? How important will be a role of a community manager in the Web3 space? And to be a good community manager, what kind of talents or skill set is required today?
I'm uh, sorry, Vishal. I'm interjecting. One question, I think, before this one for our
Okay.
community. Um, we have a WhatsApp group. We have Facebook groups, Twitter,
Okay,
Instagram.
this question I will only answer if it is paid assignment, not a free thing.
Why?
Okay, I
Um,
was just joking, but yes, go ahead.
yeah, for a sec, I thought, oh God, some marketing budget now goes to the to a guest. But yeah, uh, why do we even need a new community in a Web3? I mean, you mentioned there's gov, the governance is issue. People fight, as even Vishal mentioned correctly. So, what does Web3 solve that Web2 didn't?
It's mainly giving power, not to individuals, but like I said, like nations are driven by constitutions, and it is led by office bearers who are democratically voted, at least in some parts of the world. So that concept being, coming in to every group or um, congregation of people who have a common interest, so that lot more can be achieved, because typically we have cooperatives, we have corporates, we have incorporations, but then the power and the resources are restricted to a few. And in a Web3 world, it's more democratized, and there's equal opportunity for everybody to participate and contribute, and also reap the rewards. It's got its own reward mechanism if community chooses to put that in place. So it's a new way of working because um, like my father worked in a government organization, and I've worked, though he pushed me a lot to join a government service, I've chosen the corporate road, right? And then going forward, maybe my kids would be working in several decentralized organizations, and not part of or not married to any one entity or one organization, because there are so many multiple activities they will be involved. So the structure of people, or the future of work itself is transforming, and that is the impact of Web3.
And, and thanks for answering that. That was very useful. Now going back to Vishal's question, which I'm again sorry to interject. Who are the people who drive these communities, and what's the best way to do it?
See, like every community, the community DNA is governed by the structure of how people are allowed into the community, how they operate, and how they are rewarded, right? So that is the essence. If that is done right, and if it's working, then the community will sustain and can will be a stable organization to operate. But like every other organization, be it a startup or a large company or a nation, if these things, the fundamental building blocks of a community, are not in place, not structured well, then it'll crumble, right? So that's the key. Then it's not about single individual or a person or a head leading it. Going forward, yes, like maybe a Unilever or a P&G could start collaborating with communities and co-create, which in a way it has all we have already seen in social commerce and so on. Companies have let go of some bit of content creation, marketing to third parties, and content has been created by users and customers, right? And has also been marketed by users, customers, brand advocates. But now you're opening up more, and empowering the community and co-creating along with the community as an enabler. So here a corporate has to uh, uh, has to be giving up certain ownership and IP, and co-create along with the community, along with their customers, which many brands are doing it, but it will be more profound with Web3 infrastructure being utilized.
You mentioned that for a community to run successfully, there have to be good, strong foundational blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any principles to it, or these are the blocks that need to be sorted out, or these are the things specifically every time for a good community to run? For example, we know let's say, if a nation is being run, there are the pillars like, hey, a constitution needs to be in place, and there's supposed to be judiciary, there's supposed to be democracy or whatever, etc., media. Because again, our nation is a community. Similar way in Web3, are there any foundational blocks?
The community has to have its own goals and incentives in place. Um, so there will always be a common interest and goal. Like if the mission is about poverty and um, or creating jobs, then those metrics come into play, which is of social good, or it's a common benefit to the community at large. But there are also incentives for each individual to contribute and make that mission happen, and that could be incentivized through tokens, and that's where tokenomics comes into play. And if that needs to be well structured within every community governance, so that people have interest in contributing as well as growing along and bringing more into the community, because the community has to grow. Obviously, like any other group, there will be some churn, there'll be passive community members. To keep everybody motivated, there needs to be a strong enough incentive structure. One way of doing it is tokenomics. then there are other ways to incentivize as well. But yeah, so the key structure or fundamental block that can enable the communities to work together is token structure, according
Got
to
it.
me.
So
But I'm
yeah.
sure things are evolving, so this will also evolve as we progress.
So yeah, so for our viewers, can you simplify what is tokenomics? Like we're explaining it to a 10-year kid. What is tokenomics? Because it keeps coming up and people have a lot of questions. So what is tokenomics in a very simple word? Maybe with an example.
See, according to me, tokenomics is nothing but loyalty points coming in form of exchangeable loyalty points.
Okay.
Right? I have Amex loyalty point, or I have um, you know any airways loyalty point, right? Then I cannot transfer it to my family, friend, anybody, or it's a kind of a broken and fragmented structure, right? And as a business entity, I have a loyalty program, and then I need to partner with hundreds of other third party vendors and businesses. It's always a challenge because my IP has to be shared, my customer details needs to be shared with third party. So I'm always skeptical, and businesses have always frowned any most of these third party collaborations. So to give a new lease of life to loyalty program is anybody who's for a business. I'm talking with a business perspective. If I run a business and my customer who's loyal, who's buying from me, and who's engaging more with my services and product, and early customers who support me needs to be rewarded better than most of the other late customers, according to me. So that reward system is being revamped in a different new avatar, which is about tokens, which the same loyalty points, the same engagement. There is a mechanism for you to earn these points, and then these points can be exchanged, and these points can be traded. So that is the tokens coming in, and the token come with their own power, their own. It could be voting in a group, like in case of a DAO, it could be a voting power based on number of tokens you hold. So distributing the tokens in an organization, be it a company or be it a DAO or any group, the distribution structure is nothing but a simple tokenomics. Um, Typically, we have seen it in loyalty program, which where points were given away to customers. The same stuff, same thing, blended with concepts of how equity is distributed. Um, it's a blend of those two concepts, which is coming in form of tokenomics,
Got it.
basically to gamify and motivate community members to contribute.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So I have a follow-up question, more of a parallel, while keeping the use case of having benefit of owning a token in a DAO or in a community. Just talking about loyalty, like we used to have loyalty from let's say a Big Bazaar or Reliance Fresh. Then the likes of HDFC banks and Amex came and bundle up those benefit and say, hey, you take my card and you'll get benefit across 10 different stores. Do you see such a play happening from the likes of MoonPay or MetaMask where they're bundling tokens in the near future, or what are your point of view on this part of
The
the
options are many. So obviously, everybody wants to have some bit of power in this, right? So you access to people, access to communities. So if anybody has an infrastructure who's like, most of the wallets are the gateway to this entire experience. So obviously they will try to build stacks which will build their forte and get them more power in the whole ecosystem. So yes, I see a lot of wallet companies coming in and taking charge, creating more experiences. But having said that, I also see a lot of it's a huge space because now we are talking about like it's like a membership ticket,
Yeah.
right? It's like a membership pass or a VIP pass. this can be applied across the spectrum, both in real life as well as in the digital world, in the metaverses, everywhere. What I don't know what all loyalty points you have, right? And no, nobody knows. It's very difficult to figure out, what points you hold. But then having access to your wallet, which is a publicly available information, I can assess, I can figure out every individual, and then I can token get your experience, right? Based on the NFTs that you hold, I can route you to the relevant communities, groups, experiences, access, privilege, everything, even in real life, right? And more so now because we are in the gaming world, in the metaverse world, immersive experiences. The more and more use cases will be built. Otherwise, I find the metaverse very, very boring experience. It is the communities that can make a metaverse work, and token gated experiences that can be created within these immersive worlds can open up floodgates for something even more, a blend of real life and virtual life world, and add to that more gadgets, head mounted devices that are coming in. So it will be a very noisy future, very, very
The point,
intrusive future.
the
At
point
least
that I
our
loved
next
is
generations will see very, very intrusive, uh, you know, experiences.
the point that I absolutely loved is how these loyalty points can be used in virtual life as well as your actual life. Hey, talking about these gated communities or fan bases, which requires a token or NFT to gain access, are there any such communities run by famous people or famous organization that you might know of where you require an NFT or you need to have some loyalty tokens to access that community?
Yeah, so the NFTs have become new age distribution models, right? So holding an NFT gives you access. It's like a gateway to a community interaction. So a lot of Discord communities are being token gated. There are bots being built. We are building services on Discord because most of the fandom is on such platforms. So we are token getting these experiences already. So many, and the token getting can be, a simple, ERC20, or it could also be a NFT, and different formats of NFT. And even music albums are released with experiences which are token gated. Many platforms from,
Yeah, I
uh,
think recently Spotify had started this that you need to
yeah,
own some NFT to get some access to some
yep,
exclusive playlist.
yeah. So asset subscription, asset ownership, distribution, everything can be driven through these formats, which is NFTs or tokens.
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, we were discussing this few minutes back. You mentioned that, hey, there could be loyalty tokens that can be exchanged if you're using a jet airways and then, let's say, filling petrol somewhere, you might want to use those tokens everywhere. I don't know if I'm correct with my example, but my parents and we used to go to Pantaloons to buy clothes, and they had this card, and they used to say, "Hey, you can go to these similar other Aditya Birla Group companies and use the tokens there." I I remember this like from years back, but now I don't see that happening. I don't think the same is possible. So not that it's a
I think
question, but openly discussing that why did that fail?
Come again? Yeah, can you repeat the question?
So Aditya Birla trying
So you
to,
said the pantaloons. Yeah.
yeah, they were like, hey, you buy stuff from us, we give you a card, just
Hmm.
tokens. We also have an Alan Solly and a Peter England or Louis Philippe or some petrol pump or whatever, or a Novotel. You can go there and use these points. I
Hmm.
remember this happening some years back, but now I don't see they promoting the same or this concept being even present in their ecosystem.
Yeah,
So
see,
just
the loyalty points and loyal reward systems across the world have suffered. it's fragmented. There are roadblocks. So yeah, so there is now new lease of life to such programs, right? So that's where you will now see a lot more of this coming back.
Okay. Why the reason that these loyalty uh, programs might have failed, like an Aditya Birla Group trying it? Just again discussing it out loud. I'm
Mhm.
sure you might not know anybody from the company, or you might have deep dive. But what do you think the problems are, and what can our viewers or future um, marketers who want to build a loyalty program might do correctly, or things that they need to do correctly so that these programs
It's See, basically, the utility has to be more diverse, and because interests vary, even within a community, the interests vary, and with demographics, it always changes. So it's important to bring in different partnerships when third party relationships, to gamify that experience for your customer or a community member. So that is a little bit of a hassle. Like I said, the IP resource, IP sharing with information about your customer cannot be given away to third party, and so on. So these things are a hurdle for any marketer,
Mhm.
any company which is trying to expand its services and tie-ups for its program reward systems. So it is very restricted to certain promo codes, coupons, third party. You buy product from my company, my service, then you get a service from the other company, right? But there is always a friction, and there is the scalability issue because it takes time for all those integrations, third party integrations, and so on. Which is now very simple, and everything happens through the wallet, right? It's all those hassles are gone. Now it is very seamless and easy to scale. So that scalability is a key factor. So speed to market and rollouts programs is easier now for marketers. The life is a lot easier. So you will see these token experience, NFT gated experiences everywhere, including betting, which is now that is also getting tokenized with you
Yeah,
not just having your fantasy team, but it's also about you having NFTs of these fantasy team members, and then you can trade these NFTs.
yeah,
You can trade your players. So instead of having cards like game cards, you player cards, you can now trade NFTs of those.
FIFA,
So it's
I
pretty
think.
much getting in everywhere. Um, but yeah, so obviously, like any other trend, few things stick, few things don't. So only time will tell. Yeah,
I
reveal
think it
how.
also work as an use case to do very much targeted promotion. Like, let's say people are having Starbucks NFT, and tomorrow Adidas is coming up with a premium launch, and they say, hey, anyone who is owning a Starbucks NFT will get exclusive one day before or some discount, because they already know that
No,
anyone
they
who is
already
going to
have.
a Starbucks.
Starbucks has been pretty active
yeah.
through their app. They've already gamified purchases and so on. But now they've already implemented token getting experiences.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, and I also saw that you guys you know uh, cover a lot of metaverse world as well, immersive world, from what I could
yeah,
gather from
yeah,
your
yeah,
profiles. But even those will see a lot of token gated experiences. Otherwise, it's difficult. It's a huge space and a very boring space. So to group communities, is very important,
yeah,
and this is
yeah,
how it's a mechanism to get people together.
yeah. Even in the wildest space, we cannot think of Bollywood is doing work on token getting. This I so this head of this movie studio group reached out to me because they wanted my help. They are building this token gated experience where they are going to sell NFTs before the movie release for people like you and I to get an entry to those exclusive events with stars and be a part of the screening. And they are going building a entire ecosystem. So Yeah, I think it is picking up in every use case. I think soon we will see this in general elections also. Political party coming up with token gated experience. Yeah, I think
So
it's
usually
going.
it is. So the current wave I'm seeing is so last year we saw a lot of tokens being launched, and now we are seeing a lot of experiences being created,
Yeah,
utilities being created for
Yeah.
those. But but then we are trying to link it with traditional use case, which is loyalty programs and how customers or communities are being
Yeah.
engaged. So then it forms a complete circle. So we are not reinventing something. It's what has been. The need has always been there. The use case has always been there. We're just trying to make it work further, and we are empowering the existing infrastructure. If when companies already have a program, loyalty program, reward system, we are adding layers on top of it to enable and to give a new lease of life and activate all those brand activations that have been standstill and gaining dust. Yeah.
Just switching gears. So, you founded Fandom Future a couple of months back, and I saw your LinkedIn profile picture. It says hiring. How difficult has been hiring in the Web3 space? Where did you find talent easily?
Yeah. So fortunately, the Web3 community is small. So, and it is very, very co-creative and helpful. So it's a closed network. So it's easy because there are many ecosystem, stakeholders, right? From market makers, launch pads to investors and several, DAO organizations and Web3 only consulting that has come in. So it's fairly easy. Otherwise, for me, Web2 recruitment is more difficult, but Web3 has been, because it's a closed circle. It's very easy. People are reaching out, and people are coming in from very very established, well-paying roles, and then they're saying, I'm looking out. I'm ready to jump in. So there is an element of you know they're taking a risk, and they're also passionate, and I'm sure everybody now realize that it's high time we the paradigms are shifting, so it's high time that people start transitioning into a Web3 future. So, or Web3 is just a terminology, but what I mean is a decentralized community driven future. um, it could be Web3, Web5, whatever name that comes. The names keep coming, the jargons keep coming. But what I mean is the essence of you know uh, people working and operating businesses will be community driven.
What's your advice to any young professional watching this who wants to make a switch from Web2 to Web3? How should they go about it?
See, it's all about
Before
contribution,
Avinash,
right?
you can answer. Ayush, I think they should start watching our podcast.
Yeah. Yes. So uh, so like your podcast, and there are many good podcasters who are promoting, who have been a good evangelist of Web3. But it's it's all about contribution. um, Typically, as startup companies earlier, they had to part with cash and equity, but now they have a new ammunition of tokens, and these tokens have some utility and relevance. So um, founders and have a new structure to play, and then it's a lot easier to bring in people and work with them. People who are already working with established company, like I'm sure few corporates object to moonlighting and so on, but then it's all about co-creative work, because even if the person is working elsewhere, obviously he or she is bringing in more insights and talent. So it's about upskilling and doing more projects, right? So I am for moonlighting. I
Yeah,
am for
I think this
uh,
recent comment by one of the popular visionary entrepreneur in India about moonlighting was not taken very well by people like us, because in my point of view, if someone is moonlighting, maybe they are doing something they truly believe in, and they are good at
Yeah,
it.
but
Why
it's
discourage that?
inevitable. Like nobody is going to be married to one company, at least in the next coming decade. There won't be any moonlighting. There'll be sunlighting. That means you will be obviously working with 10 different missions, 10 different
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah.
And I'm already seeing that in Web3 world. People are not working on one company, they're working on multiple things, they're contributing to multiple missions. And so that's fairly acceptable, and that's becoming the norm.
I think the future of employment is going to change. We are going to see less full-time employees and more
Is the
people.
gig economy actually kicking in when Web3 with Web3?
Come again?
Is the gig economy finally gonna come to
Gig
full?
economy has, the gig economy has been looked at more like a, vendor, third party vendor.
Yeah.
Right now it's all about you know and the gig economy we saw more in blue collared staffing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we saw freelancers working, and contractors have always been there in at least in the Western world. Contract employees have always been a larger chunk. But going forward, people will be contributing to multiple projects, and the biggest resource every individual has is time. So that time would be parted across multiple interest areas.
And how do people, or how are people incentivized to work on multiple projects? Do you think if somebody is working part time for a Web3 project, do they get paid in actual dollars or cash, or is it just tokens?
Um, See, it's a mix. It's you know people are in, obviously, there are um, the utilities needs to be strong. Otherwise, sometimes people are not very keen on accepting tokens from every random project, because
Mhm.
we've seen a lot of scamsters, rug
Yeah.
pulls
Yeah.
in this world. So
Yeah.
the belief and the trust element has waned a little, but then going forward, things will pick up, and fan, for tokens and fan tokens and NFTs could also be used as ammunitions for motivating um, people to contribute.
How's the VC ecosystem for Web3 in Asia or Southeast Asia, India? Are we seeing companies still being funded in this crypto winter or a downturn?
Yeah, the ecosystem is strong, is very close knit, and um, it's being the good projects are being filtered out and being routed to family offices and private equities, and the venture funds as well. And many funds are still in that exploratory phase. They've recruited interns and analysts to and write theses on Web3. But at least in India, and at least in Asia Pacific, it's pretty strong. The market is also a lot better than the West, right? So it's fairly uh, uh, positive here in this part of the world. But yeah, so it's the funds, the kind of investment that we have seen last year. Obviously, it's not coming back, at least for a year. But eventually, yes, there will be more and more. It just needs a couple of success stories, and everybody will follow suit.
So, if somebody wants to come and join Fandom Future, uh, how should they go about it?
Contribution, that's not only our company, but our entity, any Web3 initiative is all about contribution, and there is no closed doors here. It's
Mm.
always an open door. You can always come in, contribute, um, and get involved in different manner as a community member, as a core contributor. So it's half the time I spend in interacting with people who are showing interest in joining, or who are asking for references. So yes, I it's a very collaborative ecosystem. Um, so and always open to guide anybody who wants to get into a Web3 company, even established, well-funded Web3 companies, or join a young initiative, or wants to start something new. Always open to refer or guide anybody, and yes, like everybody, we are also looking to get more people onboarded, and thanks to initiatives like yours, you guys are doing a good job, and I'm sure very soon this will grow in number, and also the reach. So looking forward. So we will continue to do this. This is just one of the beginning podcasts. So we should continue to do this on a regular basis.
Thanks, man. That means a lot that you're interested to have
Yeah,
more
thank you so
podcasts.
much for the kind words.
Because things are evolving. What I said today may be irrelevant in 1 month,
So the
because
next
more
post,
revamped version, revamped ideas, new creative people coming in, and linking it with even most mundane asset we have been sitting on. So it's an exciting space. So it's difficult to keep track of what's happening. So it's a good space. Good to have a podcast that can evangelize developments and bring in all the creators, and make people transition from the existing ecosystem to this whole decentralized ecosystem in a faster and more seamless manner.
that's great, Avinash. So I'm gonna send you an invitation for 28th of March a
Cool.
month from now. Thanks, man. Like this has been a very informative
Yeah,
podcast. It's one of those podcasts where we really do not want to stop, but it's late for Vishal, and I think
Yeah,
he's
yeah. So, Vishal, you seem to be pretty active. Are you heading out now?
no, it's late. I probably have my dinner and then
Okay,
go.
cool. So, all right then. So, thanks for having me,
Thank you so
and
much.
much of it.
best wishes for this podcast, and we will keep in touch.
Yes.
Um, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks.
so
All
much.
the best to Fandom Future. Will definitely contribute.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you. And likewise, always feel free. Just message me anytime. So always open to contribute, and in any which way possible.
And to our viewers as well, if you need somebody to guide you and mentor you, please ping Avinash. Avinash was the best way to reach you.
I'm pretty
LinkedIn.
active on LinkedIn. So any or you can check us out on fandom.digital, or CEO at fandom.digital. So I will always respond.
Should
So
you
thank
great.
you.
do you think you should change your title from CEO to head contributor?
Yeah, yeah. CEO is a contributor, executor of the organization.
I love
Great.
the conversation.
Cool.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
guys. Yeah, take
Thanks.
care. Bye.